Hi friends, it's Terri Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. In this video tutorial, I'm going to share a fun fold card created with the Peaceful Evergreen dies and the Painted Tree embossing folder. With the Peaceful Evergreen dies, they are bundled with a stamp set for a 10% savings. With the stamp set, you get 8 images. These 5 images can be cut out with the coordinating dies, plus you have these 3 die images that if you combine the two, you can get a multi-layered tree, plus it has dies for this adorable bow. In this tutorial, I'm only using these 3 dies, but I want to talk about the bundle in case you'd like to have the 10% savings. The Painted Tree embossing folder is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to be using these for the decorative images of the fun fold. So back to the dies, I cut out this tree with gold foil. I cut out that one using the old olive cardstock, and I cut this one out with the mossy meadow cardstock. So I did that prep work ahead of time. And then what I'm going to do is take this embossing folder, and with the logo side, that's the front of it. That's where the front image is going to be. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to put the largest tree in the center because there's 3 trees here. I'm going to put the one that I cut with the gold foil on the left, and I'm going to put that mossy meadow one on the right. So I'm going to lay them right on top of those tree images. I'm going to close this. I'm going to put it on my platform with the specialty plate on top, run that through, and what happens when you run that through, then I get these texturized trees. Look at that beautiful embossed image that's now on these trees. I'm going to do a little bit more to one of these trees. I'll show you that in a moment, but this is going to be my decorative images that are for my fun fold card. So let's talk about the other pieces we need for this fun fold card. We need to have a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5. It has 4 score lines. It's scored at 2 1/8. I do use the largest end of the stylus and place the corner of your cardstock right into the corner of the wall here. Hold it, and then select the 2 1/8 location and just follow that down. Then we have 3 1/8. Then we're going to go over to 5 1/4. And now we're going to go at 6 3/8. Now, if you're doing the math, you realize that between this score line and this one, it's 1 inch. But between this score line and this score line, it's 1 1/8. Yes, it is. That's the way I designed the card to work how I wanted it to. It's okay that this panel is 1/8 inch larger. Only you and I will know that. The person you give the card to will not know that. So that's the card base. We have a brace piece, and that one is 8 1/4 by 1. This one is scored at 1 inch, at 2 inches, at 6 1/4, and at 7 1/4. So that's scored like this. So then we have that. I'm done with the Simply Scoring tool, so I'm going to move that out of the picture here. So we've got these 2 pieces. Now we have a decorative layer. They're 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. There's 3 of them. Now these are optional. If you chose a different color cardstock and didn't want to add the layers, now no, it's a decorative layer. It can be designer series paper, it can be stamped cardstock. I am going to use that embossing folder again, and I'm going to texturize these. So again, with the logo side here, I'm going to open it up and place all 3 of these down. I'm going to place them right over the tree images, and I'm going to have just a little bit of a space between each one of them, and because I don't want them to overlap. And then I'm going to carefully close this, run that through my die cutting machine to texturize those layers, and I will get the 3 trees that are embossed. So can you see those in the camera? So we have the 3 different trees are also embossed on this panel. So now I have my decorative layers. Now I also have a sentiment layer here. It's the very same size as this. You need one. It's for the back of the card to sign it. And I say it's a max size because for that, I'm going to use a Countryside Corner die, and I've already stamped my sentiment on here. Now what I'm going to also do is stamp an inside sentiment for my card on one of these panels. If we were to look at these, you can see the one tree is really tall, one's pretty tall, and you have a lot of white space right here. I'm going to stamp a sentiment right there before we start assembly. I'm going to use a stamp set. I should also share with you. The sentiment I use for this image, or for this die, is from the Heartfelt Hexagon stamp set, and I just like that sentiment. I've been using that for many different cards for many different occasions. And then for this one, I'm going to use Grateful for You stamp from the Layers of Beauty stamp set. And I'm going to be using a photopolymer stamp. And what I like to do when I stamp with photopolymer is put my cardstock underneath my silicone craft mat. That gives me a little bit of a cushion, because you do not have a cushion on this photopolymer. With the red rubber, you have a foam. So I'm going to stamp, and I'm going to apply even pressure, not really hard, but just hold it long enough for the ink to absorb into the paper. And there I have my stamped image. So I want to do that before I start my assembly. So now we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. Let's talk about these again. So we have our Mossy Meadow, we have our gold foil, and then we have our old olive. I want to add more to this old olive. I want to add some depth to this with ink, and then I want to add some gold metallic to it. So first I'm going to start out with the depth for the color. I'm going to use my ink pad, and I'm going to use a blending brush. We sell these in this size. You get 3 in the package, and then we also have one that's about half this size, 3 in a package. I dedicate them to different colors. Like this one's for all my greens. You can wash these. I don't. I leave them and dedicate them to a family of colors. And if I was going to start using a really light green, I would go on my scratch paper to get as much of the green off as I can before I went to a lighter green. I have been using this in the very same color, so I don't really need to do that. Also, when you use this, it's great to add a subtle color to your project. Sometimes when you go to do that, well, I should say all the time, what you do is you take this and you go, and what I do is I rotate it on my ink pad in one direction, rotate it the next direction. Now, when I go to my paper, I'm going to have a bold ink on here. What I typically do is take a clear block and then just tap it, rub on that. That gets that bold ink off, and it's more of a subtle color then. And that might not have been the best way to explain it, but then you can pick up that color that's on the block and just keep on going. Now, the technique I'm trying to do here, I don't care for this if there's a darker spot in it, so I really don't need to do that technique or that added step. But I wanted to tell you about that if you were using this and realize that, oh goodness, I get that real dark glob right away. And I am just adding some different depths of green onto this. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to show up. Let me show you. This would have been the color it started out. Can you see it's got a variety of different old olives in there now? So that's the first step I want to do. Now I want to add a gold metallic design to this. So what I'm going to do is move this out of the way, and I'm going to bring in a product that's in the annual catalog. It is called the Metallic Enamel Effects, and they're basic is what they're called, but they're gold, copper, and silver. You get all 3 in the package, and I'm going to be using the gold. We also have the pearlized. The pearlized ones are white, black, and red, but this is the metallic. Now, what you need when you're using this is your silicone craft mat. You want a clear block, and you want to have some alcohol wipes on hand. And the reason I'm using the alcohol wipes is to clean up. If you clean this up while it's still wet, it's easier to clean up. If it dries, you just need to use some more elbow grease. What I do is I put a bit on my silicone craft mat, and then I take the clear block. All I'm doing with the clear block is transferring it from here to my tree. And so I'm really just going into the enamel, and then I'm going to go over the tree, pick up some more and go over the tree. What's happening here is I'm getting that gold enamel effects onto my image just on those top surfaces. And I don't know if you can see, but it's got a little bit, or you can see the shine of it. So it's got a metallic design to it. This doesn't take long to dry. I timed it the other day and in the assembly process, and then I looked at after 10 minutes. It was already dry by 10 minutes, so less than 10 minutes to dry. I'm going to take the alcohol wipe and just clean off my block, clean off my silicone craft mat. And as I mentioned, if you wait, it's going to take a tad bit longer, or let me rephrase that. It's going to take some more elbow grease to get that off. So there we go. I'm going to set this over here, let that dry as we work on the card. So for this card, we are going to take all these score lines that are in here and fold them. The first one's going to be a mountain fold. The second one's going to be a valley fold. The next one's going to be a valley fold. Then it's going to be a mountain fold. And you can see I got green ink on my fingers from the blending brush, but that's part of crafting. Now, what I suggest you do is use a bone folder and take and crease one side of this. So crease that and crease this. But before you crease this one, have this come over so that it meets in the middle. We want it to meet in the middle so we don't see the gap. Then you're going to crease it so you fill in that gap right there, and then crease that bottom piece. So we want to have this meet in the middle. Now when it does this, it's 4 1/4. It's the exact size of your regular card. So now we're going to open this up. And this is where we're going to adhere these panels. The one with the sentiment is going right in the middle. And then you decide if you want the taller tree on the left or on the right. I'm going to put it on the left, and I'm going to put this one. So these are adhered with your favorite adhesive. I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal. Now the Stampin' Seal is the adhesive that we sell in our annual catalog. And I do love working with it. I will tell you that it took some time to get used to. You got to find that soft touch when you use it. And that's what I use for my double-sided adhesive. But you use your favorite adhesive. There's different options out there. And now I'm going to attach the other side. I already mentioned that this could be designer series paper if you were using a different design. I'm just loving this painted tree embossing folder. Just love how that detail of these trees. And here we'll put adhesive on this piece, and this one goes right in the center. So as you've seen, this one is basically hidden until the card opens up, because this is closed like this. Now we have this brace piece we talked about. So this one, we want to fold all of these at a mountain fold. So we basically create this form. These two end tabs, we're going to put adhesive on. I'm going to use Stampin' Up's strongest tape that we sell. It's called Terri tape. And I'm going to put 2 strips of Terri tape here. Now, Terri tape gets its name because you can put it down and you can tear it, or you can put it down and take your paper snips and trim it. So let's see, I'm going to put 2. I'll show you once I get this done. I'm all thumbs right now. There we go. So what I did is I put some right here and right here. Now I will tell you, if you're going to make more than one card, I'm going to suggest that you cut this at the 8 1/4 in this length. Do all your scoring, put your tear and tape on both sides, just all the way down, and then cut it to 1-inch tabs. That way you're scoring one time and you're putting your tape down one time, and then you're cutting these. So that's what I would suggest if you're making more than one card. So our tape is on these ends. Now to assemble this, I'm going to have you fold in these 2 panels on the back, these 2 panels on the back. So you have that center panel on the front, these 2 are on the back. We're going to take the backing off just one side. I love that about the tear and tape, that the backing is on there until you take it off. And then I'm going to hold that. This end is going to be flush to the bottom of the card, and this end is going to match the side. So I'm going to match it up to the side, match it up to the bottom, and get that adhered like that. So I got one side adhered. I'm going to open this up, take my tape backing off on this side. It exposed my adhesive. I'm going to hold this flat, line up the bottom, and adhere that side here. So now what happens when we open this card is it opens up and it gives us this brace in the front that we can attach the trees to. So to attach the trees, can you see the view there? So that's the top view. You can see now we have this brace. And what I'm going to do is close it to attach the trees. Now this should be dry already. Let's see. It is dry already, so I don't know how long that was, but that wasn't very long. Now what I'm going to do is attach the gold one first. I'm going to be attaching that one first. I'm going to put this one over on this side, and I'm going to put this one right over here. So how I'm going to attach this gold one is with the tear and tape. So it's going to go about here, about halfway down, and so I'm going to just move it up. I'm going to grab my tear and tape and just put the tear and tape on this brace. I don't know if that shows up in the camera. It's white on white, so it may be hard to see. So it goes right here, and that's where I'm going to attach this tree. So I'm going to take my backing off and attach this tree. So I don't have it right in the center. I have it off to the side a little bit. Now this one I'm going to attach a little bit lower and off on this side. Now it has to stay within this border to fit in your envelope. Now I'm going to put this one on with dimensionals. So let me grab those. And these are like a foam adhesive. So I'm going to put 2 right next to each other. And take your pick tool, get the backings off. Now I'm going to attach this and cover up those dimensionals. Now this tree is going to go right here, and I'm going to put 3 dimensionals right behind here. So these are very strong and they're going to hold the trees just fine. So I'm going to put one here, and the other ones, let's see, I'm going to put them right next to each other. So they're all clustered right next to each other. And take the backings off. And then place this tree right here. Now, before I open it up and show you how this all looks, I think this would be perfect for the dragonfly and the adhesive back dragonfly and birds. There's 2 different birds with these. Oops. And you have, oh, I got these backings of those dimensionals. They stick everywhere. So I'm going to take one bird, and I'm going to have this one flying right here. And I'm going to take this one right here. They're gold, so I think they're perfect. I'll put this one down. I'll put this one right here. All right. So this is the fun fold card that I have designed. So this is how it closes, and when it opens, you have the 3 trees that pop out on that brace, and you have your embossed trees, and it reveals your sentiment. And then this can go on the back for your signature. You can sign the card on the back, and I'll just attach that right here, and this is where you can sign the card. So I hope you like this fun fold. Now I am going to have a PDF on my blog that has the measurements. It's going to have all the supplies I used, the code number. If you click on the code number, it takes you right to the online store. And I will have a link to this video. So when you want to create this card, you have a link back to this video to play to assemble the card. I hope you enjoyed this fun fold. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this project. Take care and happy creating.